Good morning and welcome to 7th grade math class. Today we have Charity and Reagan in class. We have no Savannah, we have no Kate, and we have no Madison. So Savannah and 8 are not here, but the Froggy is here and he's really happy. He's going to bounce our way to the answers. Okay, we're on 5-8. Take out your handy dandy notebooks. Maybe pause this video. If you don't have your notebooks out, you're going to need your calculadoras. You're going to need a pen and a pencil and some paper. And yeah, you're gonna need your handy dandy notebook. Here we go. Today, it's simple interest. So if you put your money in the bank or in some place that gives you money back, they're gonna give you money. And that is what we're trying to calculate today. It's called simple interest. The formula that you need to know is, write this down, please. Capital I. I love math. Not really. I equals ERT. Try to write with a darker marker. All of that rhymes. A darker marker. I equals P times R times T. So there's 4 different letters. You need to know what each of the letters means. The first thing you need to know is, what does capital I mean? It does not mean myself. It means simple interest. So we're going to write down interest. Just like math class is interesting, the capital I is interest without the ing. Now the P, what does the P stand for? Thoughtful beard stroke. Okay, do a thoughtful beard stroke for me, ladies. Very good. Hopefully there's no hair there. Now the P stands for the principal. Principal, L-E. Principal, that's Mr. Quagle, is A-L. Principal is L-E. And you might say to yourself, what is a principal? That's an excellent question. It's basically the amount that you put into the bank that you're going to invest. Or maybe if you're like trying to borrow money to get a vehicle or a house, the principal is the amount that you are borrowing. So in this case, we're going to call it, what does the book say? The book says it's the amount of money invested or borrowed. So we're just going to put amount. So if I want to borrow $10,000 from the bank to buy a car, I'm like, hey, I could really use 10 grand. And they're like, here you go, Mr. Muhlenberg, here's your $10,000. The $10,000 is the principal. It's the amount that I borrowed. Or if I put $10,000 into the bank and I'm like, ooh, I had saved up my piggy bank, I drop all my coins and I get $10,000, which would be a very big piggy bank, that P would be 10,000. So I, interest, P, amount. R, not the pirate R. R stands for rate. So go ahead and write down a rate. And you always express this as a decimal. This is important. Put a little star here. Star. Okay, you got some stars by decimal? I hope you do. So the book will typically say, hey, you're borrowing this $10,000 at 7% interest rate. Okay, so if they give you 7%, you need to write that number as a decimal, which means you need to convert percents to decimals. How do you convert percents to decimals, Reagan or Charity? What's 7% as a decimal?
7/100.
Yeah, it's a fraction. Decimal. 0.07. Yep, so this would be 0.07. So if they tell you, hey, you're going to borrow this at 3.75% interest, you would write that as what? What's 3.75% as a decimal?
0.00375.
Close.
0.0375.
0.0375. Yep. So whatever they give you a percent, you're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left, and then you're going to write that number as a decimal. Okay, so always express R as a decimal. And usually you're going to have to do some conversions. So they'll say, hey, you're borrowing at 9%, so 0.09. Easy enough? Okay. Finally, T. Not what your grandma likes to drink. Not the little Boston Tea Party that you like to have with your stuffed animals. Okay, this is T as in time. So write down time. And then importante, stars, asterisks. The time is always expressed in years. Years. Easy enough? So if I tell you you're gonna borrow this for 7.5 years, your time would be 7.5. Now, where it gets tricky is this. Let's say the book decides to throw you through a loophole and they're like, you borrow this over 10 months. You can't put a 10 there because it's not quite 1 year, right? So you would have to express that. How many months are in a year? 12. So if they give you months, express it as a fraction and then figure out the decimal. So if they give you like 10 months, you do 10 over 12, which reduces divide both by 2 to 5 over 6, and then do 5 divided by 6 in a calculator, and you're going to get a decimal and use that decimal. Does that make sense? But typically, I think they're nice and they give it to you in years. But if they say 6 months, that would be 0.5, because 6 over 12 is 0.5.
3 years.
They won't do that, but if they do, you would do 3, and so you'd have to do 4 divided by 12, and 4 twelfths divided both by 4 is 1/3, which is 0.3 repeating, so it'd be like 3.33333. Does that make sense? But typically, they're nice and they give you years. So I interest equals P principal times R rates times T time. And all this does is it spits out the amount of interest you're paying over this time, or that you're getting over this time. Okay, let's do an example together. Look at your handy dandy worksheet, which Reagan is going to come on up and grab for herself and for Charity. And the ladies who are tuning in over Zoom, your worksheet does not look like this. This is a superhero video. That's teachers pay teachers, also teachers pay teachers. You don't care about that. Hold on, let me find it here. I think it's right here. Here it is. Okay, number 1 says, and by the way, for these first 6 here, you're finding the simple interest. For the 7 through 12, it's a little bit different. You have to find the total amount. I'll show you the difference as we go through them. For now, let's just focus on number 1, 300 at 5% for 2 years. Okay, so we're solving for capital I. It's $300 at 5% for 2 years. So 300, 5%, 2 years. Ladies, what is, so we have I equals, what's P?
Price. Principal.
Principal
Or amount.
or amount. And what's the amount for number 1? $300. So we have I equals 300 times, what's R? Not 0.5. Point what?
0.05.
0.05. Yep, 5% as a decimal is 0.05. 0.05 times T. How many years? 2. I can do this without a calculator. You don't need a calculator either. Put your nasty calculator down. Actually, yeah, use your calculator. I'm just kidding. Do 300 times 0.05 times 2. What'd you get? What'd you get?
No, 9,000.
It's not 9,000. That would be quite the interest. Try again, Miss Reagan. Try 0.05, not 0.5.
We do 0.5, it just goes back to 3.
That's true.
Oh, 30.
30.
I think I did 0.5.
Okay, if you do this correctly on your calculators, you should get 30. Now, number 2, or numero 2, as they say in Spanish. $650, 8%, 3 years. 650, go on and do this now for me, ladies. 650, what was it, 8%?
Yeah. Oh, got it.
You got it already?
Yeah,
You guys are
156.
impressive. 156?
Yeah.
Let me check my answer key. It is 156. Yep, you do 650 times, what's the percent? How do you write 8% as a decimal? 0.08 times 3. And when you do that, you get 156. 156. Okay. So yeah, that means they made $156 over 3 years. Easy enough. What'd you guys get for number 3? It sounds like you did it already. $103.50. Okay, make sure since it's money, if you get 0.5, write it 0 after it. So number 3 is $103.50. It's 575 times 0.045 times 4. All right, let's look at number 6. Number 6 is $2,105. That's going to be P. 11% So R equals 0.11 and T, what's T, guys? Time. 1 3/4. How do you write that as a decimal? 1 3/4.
1.75.
1.75. Do 3 divided by 4 and you get 0.75. 1 3/4 is 1.75. Then just multiply them all together. So you do 105. Yeah. So you do 2,105 times 0.11 times 1.75, and you get what, Charity?
$405.
Yeah, $405.21. Make sure you remember the dollar sign for these. Okay, that is how you calculate simple interest. Not too tricky. You guys doing okay? Yes? Head nods? Head nods? Okay, now 7 through 12 are a little bit different. 7 through 12 say find the total amount. So let's say you start with $10,000 and you make like $400 interest. The interest you need to add to the amount you start with. So you're always going to add your answer for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to the total amount. For 7, you're going to get your answer and then add it to 250. For 8, get your answer, add it to 425 because you're finding the total amount in the account. So you're taking the interest and you're adding the interest to the amount you start with. Does that make sense? No. Just do it exactly like we did it and then get your answer and add your answer to the amount at the beginning. Does that make sense? So let's do number 7 together. 250 at 5%, 3 years. So 250 is P. What's R? 0.05 and 3 is T. All right, let me stop sharing this. Okay, so 250 is P, 5% is R, which is 0.05, and 3 is T. So 250 times 0.05 times 3. What'd you guys get?
I got 287.50.
When you added it?
Yeah.
So you added it together. What do you get before you add it?
37.
37.5. So when you do this, you get 37.5, which means $37.50. And then add 37.50 to the amount you start with, P. When you add $37.50 to the amount you start with, P, you get 287.50. So you add 250, and then you get 287.50. That's your answer. Okay, number, what are we on, 8? 425 at 6%, 2 years. So 425 times 0.06 times 2. When you do that, what you get? So yeah, you added already, but I think you get 51. Is that right? 51. And then do 51 plus 425, and you get $476. Make sense? Sounds like Reagan and Charity get the hang of it. If you guys need any help, come see me. Otherwise, play back the video. But remember, you get your answer for the total amount ones here, just like we did before. Then you take that 51 and you add it to the principal that you start with. And that's only if you're finding the total amount. Hopefully this makes sense. Your assignment, I'm going to make them do more than I told them. I told Reagan and Charity they just had to do 12 problems. But it's pretty easy and they're flying through it, so I'm making them do more. So you have a handy dandy worksheet here. It looks like this. Your assignment's this page, page 281. Do for me, please, numbers. No, that's fine. Just do 1 through 6 and do 15 through 20. That's fine. 1 through 6, 15 through 20. Have fun.